Hey, Doug.
Megan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you see me?
I sure can. Clear as can be.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you.
I know
It
it's
has
been
been,
a lot of
it
travel.
has been,
Megan, how are you?
it has been way. How are you? Can you see me?
I sure can. Clear as can. Uh-oh, we can't. It's
Hang
not like
on.
okay.
Hold tight. Oh my gosh. I was just trying to get rid of the echo. Can you still see me though?
Yeah, I sure can. And you're right. There was a lot of echo just a few minutes
I
ago.
was just trying to get rid of the echo.
It didn't sound too bad.
This is so crazy. I'm so embarrassed. This is so crazy. Are you there? Okay, we're good. We're back.
Okay, good. That's good. I got it.
I don't, let me see if we're still live. I think we're still live. So that was all live on YouTube. Hey, you know what, guys? Let's just roll with it. And the bottom line is that sometimes technical difficulties take a minute, but it's all good. Here we are. And I'm so thankful to see you, Doug. So how have you been? Like, we haven't talked for well, we talk all the time, but we haven't done a live show in a month because we've both been busy. But, how are you?
Well, I'm good. I mean, I think, everything is changing. A lot of things are changing. And, obviously you turn on the news every day, people are, either getting jobs or leaving jobs. And, so it's really chaotic. I think right now, you and I talked before about owning businesses and trying to hire employees, just how difficult it is. And, and the alternatives they have in terms of staying at home or, there's plenty of job opportunities out there right now, for people that really want to work. Some people just don't want to work or try to work from home. And so it makes it really difficult. But no, I'm just leaning back on the things that I've done before in my past, trying to put together a deal, with regard to, a fast food business and also just doing real estate in terms of, fixing houses up and renting them and, just trying to, I was back in Chicago a couple times over the last month doing appearances. I mean, it still blows me away, Megan. I'm 69 years old. I'm still going to an appearance. And most of the people at the appearance haven't even been born when I was playing. So they said, yeah, my grandfather told me about you. You were really a good player. So you just kind of have to learn to change up your presentation and skill set a little bit. And don't talk about years like 1975, when that being the first year, your rookie year, because nobody in this room was born by then.
Well, I told you today about my friend that grew up in Chicago.
Yeah, you did.
And she was laughing. She's like, "How do you know Doug Plank?" She's my age, 50. And she was like, and she was so impressed. She was like, "I love that guy. Like, that guy was the most amazing defenseman I've ever seen." And I thought it was so cute. And I said, and I told her, I was like, "He's the nicest guy in the world. Like, I love him. He's the nicest guy in the world." But you have a huge following, huge following.
Well, thank you. A lot of times, you've been on media and been on television and all that sort of thing too. It's like, you don't really realize, how you impact people. And I think that's why we all have a little bit more responsibility. Anybody that's, in the newspaper, on television, on radio, I just think we have an obligation to really try to set an example. We have, both of us have children, and, it's always like they're not only there in your house, but they're evaluating what you're saying every single time you speak, just like you and I did, Megan. And we talked about that a little bit earlier about our parents. There wasn't very much opportunity or percentage that your parents back in the 60s and 70s would be sophisticated, worldly, talking about, European countries and capitals. No, my dad never mentioned stocks, bonds, annuities. It just didn't happen. And it wasn't until I actually went to high school and college in business classes and things like that, and you start learning about all these incredible things that are out there, that, I don't know, maybe in some way it was kind of like a little protection, because, growing up in our respective houses in the Midwest, we were really, I think, guarded by our parents.
Well, no, we were sheltered. Sheltered.
That's the word.
100%. We were sheltered, and God bless us for it.
Yes. It kept things very simple. Life was yes and no maybes. And you didn't have to worry about who you were. You had a name that represented who you were. And, nobody was calling me like 15 names every day. So, and I feel for kids like that right now, because it's so confusing. Everything, every direction, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, everything has changed now. Everything's different, and everybody has to be more able to just switch and change directions in a split second.
So I have so many things I want to talk to you about, but we only have so much time, because I don't want to keep people for an hour to listen to us. I always like to keep it to 30 minutes. But the thing is good news. Everybody out there listening to us and enjoying the Sports and Shopping with Doug Plank and Megan, I want to let you know that we will be consistent. We just had a little bit of delay because Doug's been on the road signing autographs and traveling, and I was moving. And so we will be consistent, number one. But I want to tell you, Doug, and I'm going to show the trailer, but what did you think about that little movie thing I sent you about the Donald movie? Like, it was kind of funny, the whole comedy of it all.
Yeah, it was. You know what? And there's, it's amazing when you're watching that, you start to understand, hey, listen, I'm not as gifted as that person. That person has a unique ability, skill to be able to put together, a movie. I just think even like there's those shows on television where people get in front of the audience and try singing. Oh my God, there was a lot of things I could do well in this world. Singing wasn't one of them. But and when you can't do something like that, then you really appreciate the people that can do it. And I'm watching, right? How are they doing that? How are they singing that song? From the low notes up to the high notes. And it's not, now too, if you're an entertainer, you can't do just one thing. You can't just be an actor. You can't be a singer. You can't be a dancer. You got to do a whole bunch of stuff. You got to be able to sing and talk and do a bunch of things and really try to influence people. And especially with all the social media out there, there's so many avenues now of people that really can get a million people to follow them, which was unheard of not that long ago, and do it like in a matter of a couple of weeks. And sometimes I go through my phone and I'm looking at things that people have sent me and different things. And I'm just amazed. I look at like the count over 1 million, and this thing just hit the airways 2 weeks ago. I mean, how do 1 million people see something in 2 weeks? So it's impressive. And I just really sit back sometimes and just watch in amazement, what is going on right now in terms of, social media and how people can actually change their lives in a matter of a couple of weeks.
Well, so our YouTube audience, they're not going to see, but just so you know, YouTube audience, we're going to put this video together and edit it together for our actual podcast. But we always give YouTube the first rights to see Doug and I, but we're going to put it together, show you guys the video, show you guys a little trailer for the fun of it. And I interviewed the main person who plays Donald Trump, who actually looks like Donald Trump. It's so funny. It's so funny. But Doug, just so all of our viewers know, Doug is in Arizona. I'm in Los Angeles. And so I interviewed these guys in LA. But the point is that the first time I met Pete Altman, I looked at him and I said, oh my gosh, you look so much like Donald Trump. And little did I know, I was at a screening for his movie called Donald.
No way.
Dead serious. And I looked at him and he's like, you are the nicest girl. He's like, you're so funny. And I'm like, you should play Donald Trump. And I didn't realize that his movie was being screened there that night. So I thought that was pretty funny. And we became instant friends because he just knew I was normal and down to earth. But the point is that for all of you YouTube viewers, we will edit it together so you can see Doug and I talking about it. You can see the trailer and you can see the interview with the producer, the writer, and the Donald himself. Not real Donald, but what's really funny, Doug, I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but Pete, who plays Donald, actually interviewed Donald Trump, like literally. Wow. Interviewed him when he was working on a project in New York. And so it was really fun to do the interview, and I'll show all the clips for our next podcast that I put together for all of us. But that was fun. Anyways, I just wanted to cover that. And then, so Arizona, just so you know, right now it's super hot there.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. I have the air conditioning on. I'm inside. I'm not outside. It's, there's a little bit of a break in the morning. And I know you're so blessed to be out there near the ocean and all that sort of thing. This is just, especially coming from like a Midwestern location, not that it doesn't get hot there too, but this is a different kind of heat. It's a dry heat. And, but it's still, when it gets in triple digits, you and I have both been to Florida too. And that's a different type of heat, that you can be in your 90s and have a lot of humidity and you can hardly breathe. So it's like about 120 out here, the comparable temperature. But I think for anybody that's been in this country that have lived in the Minnesotas, the Pennsylvanias of the world, the New Yorks, winter after winter after winter. Winter's fun when you're a young kid and you're on a sled or you're at ice skating at the pond or whatever. When you get to be like 30, I would say that's probably the turning point. Listen, snow is not that much fun. You're driving somebody somewhere, you're running over potholes, you can't stop, you hit the brakes, the car slides. Hey, Arizona, California, Florida, looking real good. Texas, it's like April 1st in Chicago, and I can't remember what year it was, in the about mid 80s, it snowed 10 inches on April 1st. And that was the day I made a vow to myself, I will not see another April 1st in Chicago with 10 inches of snow. And
right?
I was out of town. I was out of town in 90 days.
I love it. Well, you know what? More than anything, I'm just so thankful, and I'm going to keep this short just because I want to make sure so that we can put it all together for the Donald trailer, because I don't want to make it too long when I edit everything together for all of us. But Doug and I will be back every week. I promise you, I will make sure I keep Doug on schedule. and I keep myself on schedule so that we can be here every week and make sure and talk about cool stuff. And this was just a catch up because we haven't been on air for a long time, but this is a catch up just so you know that we're here, and we appreciate you as an audience. We appreciate all of you, and thank you for viewing us. Thank you for looking. And our goal, I'm going to put it out in the universe. Our goal is to have a show on ESPN, and I'm going to put it out there because I'm going to make it happen.
Yes, sounds good. Sounds good. You know what? You don't realize, just how much it goes into it. Just like what happened today, Megan, in terms of just filming this and everything. It's, you don't really appreciate people's other occupations till I became like a football player and would be asked to go to a studio for the evening news or something for the sports segment, and how much skill that, come on, it's not just talking. You got to know, you got to start when. And I told you some stories about broadcasting, how, certain things would happen. We have an engineering truck outside the stadium that has all the control over all the television crews up in the press box. And when things break down up there, those guys down in that truck are magicians. They make stuff happen that you would never think possible. And I remember a couple games talking, the videos had gone out in our booth, and I literally had to call the game for like 2 or 3 minutes without ever seeing a television screen, because I had to have the engineer down in the truck call me and tell me what to say on the broadcast. And it was the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. But I really appreciate those people for what they do.
Well, you know what? You got to be thankful for those guys, because those are the guys that make everything happen. Quite frankly, we're just the talking heads. But when we're just the talking heads, but when the things go down, you have to have love and respect for them, because they can tell you to say anything, and you got to believe them. Right? You got to believe them.
That's true.
And you got to do your job. And so whatever they tell you to say, you have to say. But the point is I've been there too, where you have to like rely on somebody behind the scenes to help you perform. But that's what it's all about, teamwork. And that's what life is about. Life is about teamwork. And
it is.
No matter
Megan,
what
I told
you
you before, everything I've done in my life, it's been with somebody else, in terms of like on a team or starting a venture or a business or anything. Without working with somebody. And I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to participate in sports, because I learned how to be a good teammate, to answer to your fellow person right next to you. And it makes such an incredible, my son is in the Army, and he comes home and he's telling me stories about cooperation and how everything just fits together. The people depend on each other. Your lives depend on each other, really, literally.
100%. I was an Army wife. I get that. I was an Army wife. Remember? I get that.
Yeah. It's almost brings tears to your eyes, because you can recall how you were able to benefit from a friend of yours or a teammate, or, all those guys in front of me. They made my job really easy back there, because, they were putting pressure on the quarterback and making tackles. And those guys that came through, they weren't running full speed. They were, already hit. They were on their way down. So it made my job so much easier. And it really, it pays dividends to go out sometimes during the game. I would literally go across the huddle and give somebody a hug or shake their hand or something, say, thank you for making that play, for knocking down all the blockers so I could just go up there and make the tackle. And it's so special. And it's funny, even now, Megan, you see these guys like 30, 40 years later, it's like you've never left them. It's like you feel that magic. And that's what's so great about sports.
Well, so I'll tell you, so the Army way, and this was our philosophy in the Army as a spouse, because I wasn't in the Army, I was just a wife of the Army guy, was 2 is better than 1. And the philosophy behind that is always, if you go into battle with a rifle and you lose your rifle, you're dead, right? But if you go into battle with another person, you have each other's back 24/7.
Yeah.
And that travels through all of life. 2 is always better than 1.
It really does.
2 is always better than 1.
I have to agree. And I feel bad for those kids that were born by them. They were single children. There was no brothers, no sisters. Man, I had 2 brothers. We wrestled, we fought, we played baseball. You name it. We did it. And from getting up in the morning till going to bed at night. It was the playground, throwing baseballs inside the house. I mean, just crazy stuff like that drove our mother crazy. And, but that's where I first really started learning about teamwork and allegiance to other people.
Well, I always feel bad for your mom, because when you tell me all these stories, I always think to myself, she must have had a crazy household and been totally, like, literally thinking to herself, how did I get myself in this situation? Like, I have a lot of respect for your mother.
Yeah, I shocked her a couple times, because I wrecked 3 times. I wrecked the total cars in high school. One time she was with me. We hit a telephone pole, and fortunately it was on my side, not hers, but I did end up sitting in her lap, because when you hit a pole right by the door, it knocks you, the driver, over in the other side. And so I ended up sitting on her lap. But yeah, I caused her a lot of grief, and not unintentionally, but yeah, it was quite
God, all I can say is God bless Miss Blank. All I can say, because she raised 3 wonderful boys, and she put up with a lot of positive things, but it's just being a mom. It's all good.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, all right. So I don't want to keep people, because I got to edit this together with the Donald movie. So I don't want to keep it too long for people, but I can't wait to see you again this week, Doug. And I missed you this last month, and I look forward to seeing you again. And you have a spectacular day. And all of our viewers out there, we've had a ton of requests. Doug doesn't even know this. I haven't told him. We've had like a ton of people requesting to be on our show. And so Doug and I'm going to start sending him the information. Once Doug approves it, then we'll let you guys be on the show once Doug approves it. But if you want to be on the show, you can be on the show, and we'll highlight you and interview you, because Doug and I do this because, number one, we want to help each other.
Yep.
Number 2, we want to help. Well, actually, I take that back. Number 1, we want to help people, because Doug and I are just normal people. Mm-hmm. Number 2, we want to help you grow and be stronger. And number 3, we want to be a positive influence for the world and talk about just real life stuff. And that's what Doug and I do, because we're normal, hardworking people. Even though we've had some success in our life, we're still hardworking, always 24/7.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the way to get ahead. And, it's like, I'm so glad that I was able to just grow up in the environment I did. I was humble, and, it was conservative type of lifestyle, but, you saw things on television and say, that'll never be me. I'll never be able to do that. Well, I did do it. I did get on the news.
Here you are.
I did get on television.
Here you are.
But you know what, Megan, it was a day-to-day, reminder. I had to keep reminding myself, listen, Doug, you got to take one step at a time. It's, you don't just go from a small town in Pennsylvania to suddenly you're playing the National Football League. No, there's a lot of stops along the way in high school and college. And, I'll be honest with you, I think all of us in life, we all have to have a little bit of luck, to be in the right place at the right time, because it makes a huge difference, and it made a huge difference in my life.
Well, you've been a blessing to the world, and you have a lot more things to do yet. You're not done. Trust me, you're not done yet. And you're not done yet. We're going to do a lot of positive things. So I appreciate you. And to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you so much. And please feel free to reach out to us anytime. You can email me, and I respond and forward to Doug at m@megaz.com, or you can text me at 424-288-1364. And if you reach out to me on email or text, I forward them to Doug, so he'll get them directly. So you guys have a great week, and Doug and I will see you next week.